I stay here in Nirvana in Gurgaon, and I am a counselor for children and adolescents. I'm also into marriage counseling and helping people with behavioral issues, domestic abuse. And my company is called Manasvi Wellbeing, and Manasvi means the higher mind. There's a phrase called DINKS, double income, no kids. Okay? And there's a phrase in which there are kids which are over pampered, which have all the facilities that you could think of, and go to the elitist of schools but are bored. They have the problem of plenty, right? They're so confused as to what they have to do in their future. They are so confused about where they fit in, and they really want to fit in. And so do the parents. And I would say children and adolescent counseling majorly talks about parents. In fact, parenting is where we have an issue, because most of them, if they're double income, they don't have time for their kids. If they are, single income, still the mother is busy doing a lot of other chores and keeping up with the Jonases. So the kids are given all kinds of gadgets, and we have a lot of cases for gadget detox. We have a lot of cases in which the kids are confused. We have kids who are watching porn at the age of 9, 10, which is like really shocking to some people. There are kids who have been expelled, who have been rusticated from schools for carrying liquor to school. They have games like Truth and Dare where the kids are supposed to, just keep up with their peers. So there's a lot of peer pressure. A lot of people migrating from all over the world out here, I would say, not only from smaller towns to Gurgaon, but also from within Delhi, the pockets which are not that well off. Suddenly they come here and, this is a whole new world, right? And they are totally at sea. So all the anchors that were there before, like the joint family, many times I tell people I do the work that the Nani Dadi used to do, right? And I'm the one who's helping out because I am the non-judgmental person. Because they would not like to talk to their own parents about many of these issues because there's shame attached to it. If somebody is watching porn, if they're left alone in the house, they are letting in, boys, girls are letting in boys, boys are letting in girls. There are all kinds of relationships happening at very young ages. And young kids drinking. There's a lot of culture of drinking out here. If you don't drink, you don't fit in. They're giving to their children. I have seen at parties, covering it with a napkin, paper napkin, and handing over the drinks to their children. It's underage. For heaven's sake, the kid is in school. Why are you getting them into habits? Why? Because they feel this is cool. This is the in thing. They have to be in the in crowd. There are rave parties held. Kids have been expelled from school because of rave parties. Various schools, corridors, they're caught doing all kinds of things. It is a mess. It is really a mess because they're trying to ape the Western culture, staying in India. Gurgaon is very cosmopolitan, but it carries all the vices and the evils of the cosmopolitan things also. It has the opportunities. People are making a lot of money, but people don't have time for each other. I had a case in which they were both doctors. They had no time for the child. She's in class 9. She's watching porn. She's letting boys in, wanting to be in crowd, and finally chucked out of school. Put in another school, which is like an American or a British school, without informing them that why she has been thrown out of the other school. The kids started reacting, writing in the bathroom, on the walls, all over the place that I was thrown out of school. I don't want to be here. Why have you got me into this school? I want to go back to my previous school. It was horrifying. The father doesn't have time to come for counseling. The mother, poor thing, is running from, pillar to post to try to get her to adjust. And the child is, the body is a certain age, but the mind has gone somewhere else completely. There was one person who was from IIT and IIM, and he said, how can my daughter not go to these Vidya Mandir classes? I said, your daughter's in depression. She's sleeping the whole day. She's not able to cope. Why do you want to send her for those classes? She's not cut out for this. Make her a lawyer, she'll be really good. Make her do English honors. He says, English honors? English honors is not a course that anybody should do. And I am an English teacher. I was shocked. I said, what? What are you saying? Which age are you living in? He says, no, doctor and engineer. That's it. And his elder daughter had become a lawyer. So I said, उसको तो बनने दिया, इसके पीछे क्यों पड़े? नहीं, she is my last hope. She has to become either a doctor or an engineer. Why? I had a very funny case where, they had a child. The man then wanted to go and do an MBA, and the woman was working to support them. So they sent the child to the grandmother. The grandmother got attached, the child got attached, then they wanted the child back. They got the child back here, put the child in the creche, and then they came to me. They said, मेरे बच्चे को ना issues हो रहे हैं. अरे भैया बच्चे को तो issues होंगे ही, वो confused है. Who's the caregiver? Who's the person who's actually my primary caregiver? You're putting them in a creche. You're putting them, instead of being with the grandparents, the child is suddenly thrown into a creche, gets lots of illnesses because creches are breeding grounds of illness. And then you are flustered and saying, no, I don't want my child to think that my mother is her mother. What do you want? You can't have the cake and eat it too. Then I told them, I said, one of you have to take a back seat and has to look after the child. I don't care whether it's the father or the mother, but one has to be at home for the child for the first 5 years. After that, yes, you can look at other options. Because इतने छोटे बच्चे को आप क्रेश में डाल दोगे तो प्रॉब्लम्स तो होंगी. और वहाँ grandmother is feeling bad, यहाँ the child is feeling bad, and you, because of your ego that you want the child to think you are the primary caregiver, do not want to leave the child with your own mother. It's crazy. And it really takes a village to raise a child. We have a case in our own tower where the girl came running to me at around 10:30, 11 at night and said, please save me. They are beating me up.
They as in husband
and the mother-in-law. So I helped her out in the morning. The mother-in-law at 1 o'clock at night came and rang my bell because they were trying to look for her. And then they finally figured out that she must have come to us because they didn't let her form any friendships, right? So they felt she's the only one she knows. And she knew my flat because she had come to give some money before that for some car cleaner or something. And she remembered that upar hai. So she just came running up and kept checking, because I have a very distinctive doorway. She found it. And she rang the bell and I was inside. My husband comes, says, "Koi choti si ladki aayi hai." And I said, "Kaun aa gaya raat ko 11 baje choti si ladki?" Go and see, and this girl is so flustered. She has these marks on her neck, of nails and things like that. I said, "What happened?" She says, "You just let me stay." Then slowly the story came out, and then she said, "Please don't tell me to go back." Then the mother-in-law found out in the middle of the night, came to me and said, "Is she here?" I said, "Yes, she's here, but she doesn't want to meet you." And then in the morning, we went to the police station. We said, let's not register the case here because she belongs to another small town. So then we didn't register the case, but the police helped us and the RWA president helped us. And we came back. We said, take whatever you want to take from your house. And she packed up, and they were making a video while she's packing up. These are all the things she's taking. Right? And then we left her with some relatives. So she was stuck here during COVID. Then arranged for a taxi for her to go to her hometown. Her mother was very, very grateful. The case is still going on. It's been 2 years because the boy does not go for the dates that are put by the police. The police came here. They didn't open the door. Then they came to my house to see the layout of the house because they're similar layouts. And then they were like, we can't believe that you helped her out because in flats, people don't help each other out. And we are so grateful to you that you helped her out. They say that people just are so indifferent and they don't want to get involved. They don't want to be involved. Ek to police ka naam aate hi na, people just back off. And there's nothing wrong. The police is just like us. In fact, in the police station, you will be very surprised, a lady police officer was trying to convince this girl that kuch nahi hua hai tere saath. This is nothing. Why don't you go back? Why are you troubling them? Hello? And then she kept saying, "Ke, aap alag jao, aap bahar jao," because she felt I am influencing her. Then I realized that they have some political influence. And they were trying to put pressure on this girl so that she doesn't put in a case at all. But then she went to her small town and I said, you register from there because in COVID, how many times will you come to Gurgaon? You know? So she registered there. Now this person doesn't go there. There are a lot of people in pain. In fact, I would say 90% of the people are in pain, but they don't want to share it. They're scared. What will people think? You know? How will they react if they get to know I don't have money? How will they react if they get to know I don't have a job? COVID, so many people lost jobs. How will this? And people do start treating you differently, you know? If they get to know that you don't have money, or if they get to know, especially in this kind of an affluent society, if they get to know that you're having some troubles. I know a lot of women who became widows here during COVID, and I have helped out personally from my own personal finances, people, and said, I don't want the money back because touchwood, I'm blessed enough to have enough. And you know, this is just a feeling that you have, this content feeling that it's enough. Otherwise, you can be a multimillionaire and still think you don't have enough. But you could be having just this much and still help people. We had a suicide here also. And the girls who were her friends, they really got together, tried to help the family, but it's short term. You know, it'll be just for about 10, 12 days, 15 days, then everybody's involved in their own lives, right? And same thing happens with domestic violence. People turn a blind eye because they think it is their matter. We can't, you know, intervene. And actually, that's true also till somebody asks for help. It doesn't make sense to help. Luckily or unluckily, I am one of those people who reach out and people know that we can go to her for help, you know. Like I said, people wear masks, the Mukotas. They will all say, oh, yes, lovely initiative, very good, ye, wo, we'll come. They'll come for meetings and everything. But when they have to actually go to the police station and things, I don't know how many people would do it. It's only the women who come forward. I'm sorry to say this, the men are so involved in earning their bread and butter that they couldn't be bothered about community. They come because they are dragged for events, and frankly speaking, they don't have much to talk either, you know, except for their work. It'll be the women who'll be talking about the children, the family, the maids, whatever, whatever. So we have two ladies groups here which I run. Each is about 250 people, so about 500 ladies. And 90% of the time, the thing that is being discussed is maids. And the rest is about doctors or about pets or about, but nothing serious is discussed on these groups. डॉक्टर्स के बारे में बता दीजिए कहाँ जा सकते हैं मेड कहाँ से मिलेगी ओके माय मेड इज फ्री यू कैन टेक हर दैट काइंड ऑफ स्टफ I would say 90% of them are badly treated. 10% have good husbands, but they are all migrants. They're all from Bangladesh or from Bengal. So most of them from Chobis Pargana and Sundarbans and Assam and things like that. And the ones who are married all have problems. Even the ones from UP and all, they all have problems with their husbands. The people who live here, I would say about 80-85% treat them well. We all decide rates and we keep the rates, but they very nicely keep hiking on. They have a whole union. Unionbazi hoti hai yahan pe. If you try to chuck out a maid for a chori, which happened out here, they came and they stood outside and girawed and things like that. And they said, how come you did this? But then that woman, the maid, was proven to be a thief. So they had to back off. In fact, I was involved in that with the police. And the police said, what do you want to do? Because we don't have evidence. You see, money, when it's picked up, you don't have evidence unless you write down the serial numbers of the notes and all. You don't know. And they're so smart that as soon as they put cameras in the house, she knew. She didn't pick up after that. Outside, there have been rape cases. There have been cases where they have just thrown the person and gone off after the rape and things like that because it was not lighted here. You know, there was no light. And then they came up with this program that, you know, we should light this whole thing till the village. So things are better. There is a village, yes, Tigra village, where the staff comes from. That is, I've never been inside. From outside itself, it looks like a hellhole. So I am not very keen. But there are some landlords who extract a lot of rent from these people for very small rooms, and they have common bathrooms and things like that. That's what I've heard. There was a maid who jumped from the 18th floor to the 16th floor to run away from the employer. But
Because she was being beaten up?
maybe because she was not being let go of,
I see.
not beaten up and molested.
That is-
I haven't heard of any molestation cases here of maids. Fortunately or unfortunately, it's the wives who have been beaten and molested. So I'll tell you a very funny incident which happened recently. And this was a doctor. He was an ultrasonologist. And literally just outside the gate, he was held at gunpoint with a country-made pistol because he annoyed some people who were property dealers. And they belong to the village. So there is a sarpanch in the village, and there's a political party there affiliated to, and things like that. In fact, in North, which is also a gated community, there was a case of a driver who harassed the girl of the family. And then the people tried to catch him and beat him up, but they ran outside the gate, and then that person who was running got beaten up, not the driver. The person who was running, because he called for help from the village. And all these goon like people came and they beat him up so badly that he had to be hospitalized. And this just happened, I think, just before COVID, maybe a year before COVID. And the wife was a lawyer of this person who was beaten up. And she really rattled up everybody and said, "How dare this happen? What is this?" And they all came, to protect this guy who was put in jail. Ke ye to hamara aadmi hai, kind of thing. And, they belong to this party. I don't even know the name of the party, some agricultural party or something. And they said that, you have to let him go because he did not beat up. They were beating him up and he did it in self-protection. So it is really scary sometimes. So we don't have a gate for Nirvana country on the other side. We have a gate that side which is never shut. And this is all open, actually, the whole of Nirvana country. But we have gated, within that, we have gated communities of the closed south and the closed north. But the other Nirvanas, those, actually speaking, the really rich people who stay there, they have no gates.
Like the villas.
The villas. So they just have a barricade or a barrier, which anybody can just cross. And the funny thing is that the maids, the drivers and all, they have a free for all. And our guests are stopped, It's really funny. It used to be like that. Now I think with this no brokerhood and all that has come in, the app, it's called No Brokerhood. So that app then asks us, and then we get these calls that, can we let these people in? They've come to meet you and all. But it's no protection as such, because once they're in here and they come up to our thing, we don't have any protection. We open the door and they can come in and do anything. And we also have stray dogs. We have that issue too. And we can't do anything to the stray dogs because apparently it's their territory. And we have these 5 stray dogs which attack the pet dogs, and they attack the people who are staying inside, and the children get bitten and things like that. And nothing can be done because those dogs are protected by PETA and by Maneka Gandhi and various other people. So we can't chuck them out. She Means business was started by me last July. That's 2021. The thought was that, quite a few men had lost their jobs. So the women had pitched in and that started earning for the family. But it was not only that, it was the women who were already entrepreneurs also were changing tracks. Because, for example, boutiques and all were not functioning quite well because people were not going out, so they were not buying clothes, they were not buying jewelry. So a lot of the women shifted to becoming home chefs, shifted to a lot of healing modalities. And, we have a lot of people who are resellers, right? They buy the product from somewhere and then they sell it again, right? So the thought was to help these women because they are not really qualified to sell or to be entrepreneurs because they have not done any courses in that. So we thought of 3 things that we could do for them. One is build a network. The second thing is to provide them with learning and development. And the third thing is to give them a platform where they can express themselves. So we started off with introductions, that what are you doing, how's your business, how to use social media, how to propagate your business, what to do, advertising, pricing, with something as basic as that. And we realized something very funny, that most of the women, even though they are earning a lot, do not know where their money is going. They're not financially very wise, and all their finances are being looked after by the men in the family. And I was a little taken aback by this. And I said, no, you must realize how to register your companies, how to go to a bank and open a bank account for your company. Why? How does it benefit you to open a bank account? Because most of them were scared to put money in the bank, showing that they're doing a business, because they wanted that whole thing to be the profit, not realizing that they're missing out on many opportunities. So this network has really flourished. We kept only people who were active. So we have 76 members now, but only about 30 of them are active. So we keep on trying to, wean them out, and people who are not active, we sort of keep a attendance record, and we try to say. So we started with weekly meetings. Now we do bi-monthly meetings. We are trying to keep one offline and one online, because of COVID, we had most of them online. Online has its own disadvantages, because you can't really interact so well with people. Now with the offline meetings, people are able to interact much more, and their network building skills are building. So we have assigned days, like Monday and Thursday is appreciation day. Tuesday and Friday are the days in which you can promote your products. Saturday is your networking day, and Sunday is your inspiring stories day. And Wednesday is when we have our meeting in the evening. So we call speakers, we have master classes, we have workshops, we have talks that we organize for these ladies. And quite a few of them have benefited. Quite a few of them have networked. They have built audience. Some have collaborated. Some have helped each other out to find, for example, there's a home chef who's vegan, like Preeti. She has tied up with a home chef which is vegetarian, and then whenever she gets orders for samosas, which are vegetarian, she will get them from the other home chef. So, they have collaborated like that. A lot of them are into healing modalities. A lot of people have gone there for healing. We also did a whole month of fitness for all, in which we called 6 trainers who would take trainings every day. We only charged 500 rupees for a month. All the ladies could try all the 6 trainers. So mind, body, soul, we covered all. So we had a Pilates instructor, we had a cardio instructor, we had I took the meditations, as well as tarot card reading, NLP. This is all that I do. And there were people who were doing yoga, breathing techniques. The thought behind it was that if you have a fit mind, body, and soul, you can really do your business well. Everything that we do, we ask our audience, what do you want? So, for example, they all have now expressed that they want to learn more about digital media. So we are calling a social influencers who would guide them. We are planning to make, web pages and help them with their Instagram accounts and their Facebook accounts, looking at where the thing is there, wherever are the gaps for them. So whatever they express that, we want bi-monthly meetings because weekly become too much. They express that, let's have a section for speakers, let's have a section for people who can come and teach us about finance. So whenever somebody expresses, even if one person expresses that I want something like this, we ask the rest of the community, how many people are interested? Then we organize something for them. We have one case in which the lady came out for, she was very forthright, I must say, and very brave, that she came out and she said, my husband swindled me of my money. So guys, be careful. Please have a separate bank account. He was married to her for more than 25 years, and he took all the money from her business account and went off with another younger girl, right? And she is now in a very bad space financially. So she said, be careful who you trust with your money. We have another case where the girl is undergoing a divorce, and we are supporting her as much as possible. There is another girl who has recently ordered quite a few stuffs, and she said, I'm stuck with it. Can you help me out? Because my husband has also lost his job, so she sells bed sheets and stuff like that. She ordered something for 40,000, and then we are trying to help her out by selling it, putting it, on various groups so that she manages to sell. Some we buy ourselves, like that. So all kinds of support. Some people have come to me for support for their children and guidance in their careers. Uh, they call me up at all odd hours and ask for help for various things. So I won't call myself an agony aunt, but I would definitely say that I'm a compassionate leader. I really believe that, I want to build a community. If somebody asks you, what do you do? And you say, I'm a homemaker or I'm a housewife, they feel somewhere they've got diminished. They don't have an identity of their own. So quite a few of the women are building their own identities this way. That, see, I can earn for myself. I am independent. I am doing something. I'm contributing to the world. I think that is more important. I may not be for my case, I may not be the person who's even earning the cheese. It's like bread, butter, jam, everything done by my husband. And then sometimes I say, okay, then I am maybe the cheese. So I don't need to do it. But what do I do the whole day? You see, I need to be gainfully engaged. I'm so well qualified. I've done so many courses. I'm qualified to do so many things. Why should I waste that talent? Why should I not give back to the society? Why should I not be out there helping as many people as I can just because I have enough? No, that's not where I'm coming from. And I think quite a few of the ladies are not coming from. They're coming from a space of, like now we have the Durga Navratri going on. We are coming from a space of Shakti. We are coming from a space of strength. And I think this is what is happening all over the world, not only in Gurgaon. We are just a microcosm of the macro, So we are trying to make a space for ourselves in a patriarchal society, trying to show people that we are no longer that patriarchal society that we started off with maybe 50 years back. Our women are educated, our daughters are educated. They don't feel now the need to even get married. The expectations, there is no expectation setting before they get married. There is a lot of what you call rose tinted glasses, There's a lot of expectation that, this will be done for me. Oh, Valentine's Day आएगा तो ये सब होगा, वो चीज़ होगी तो मुझे foreign holiday लेके जाएंगे. And all those materialistic things have become so important rather than bonding with each other. Rather than trying to think that we are two people who are trying to become one unit and work together. And there is no tolerance at all on either side, I would say. The girls, of course, since they've become financially independent, are not willing to take any nonsense. But the boys have also lost tolerance, you see. It's okay for them to have girlfriends, but the girl should not have any boyfriends before marriage, It's really sad. If we have a working girl, she would have had some kind of relationships, either in the workplace or something, because the girls are getting married later now. It's not 24, 25, it's now 30s that they're getting married. And they will both be the same age or 1 year gap, and there is such a gap in the maturity levels. So boys really do, it's proven biologically mature later than girls. So it's always better to get married to an older boy. But somehow now that gap is closing. Either they're younger than the girl or they're the same age, and that causes much more issues. Many more than before. Then there is no family support. And if there is a joint family, there is less tolerance. They don't want the mother-in-law there. They don't want the father-in-law there. Even if they're helpful, if they're helping them with their children and things like that, they still don't want them. Men are not keeping up. They are not managing to look at the softer skills, the softer side, They are still feeling they need to be the hunter, provider, gatherer. Whereas now that the lines have blurred, so I would suggest that they should also learn the soft skills. And I think cooking, cleaning, dusting, all these are essential skills. These are life skills. These are skills that everybody should have. In my house, there are three of us who are women, me and both my daughters. And they always keep telling my husband, Dad, we all can survive. You can't. You'll need a maid or you'll need help, but we can manage. And they are showing that. My elder one has gone to Canada, she's managing fine. My younger one has gone to the hostel in Sonipat, she's managing fine. If I leave my husband alone, he can't manage without the maids. We are teaching him, he's taking baby steps. But he comes from that era where the men didn't even open the fridge to see what is inside, you know. And I think it's the fault of the women. I think it's the fault of the mothers who never taught them. Now the mothers are teaching. The newer generation, I have a lot of hope with. They are learning the softer skills. They are learning to stay alone. They are trying to catch up. I'm so surprised that counseling is an alien word for men. Very few will come, and they will come only for career counseling. And they're so argumentative. Half the time I'm like banging my head against the wall trying to explain to them why their child can't do an MBA or why their child can't become a doctor. They are more suited to other professions. Even in the Western world, you will see that it will be the women who will be looking after the children. Yes, the men pitch in much more, but still the primary duty remains with the women. You know, it is surprising that they are supposed to be the developed countries and the developed societies with having everything there, but still the ego is there, and the male ego is not going to go away anywhere soon. I think the men are becoming more feminine and the women are becoming more masculine. Let's put it that way. The women are becoming more assertive, more aggressive, and more masculine, and they don't want to do the housework. They don't want to look after the kids. Right? I'll take I'm not being derogatory to anybody, but I heard the interview of Indra Nooyi and the way she balanced her job as well as her kids and everything. She was still responsible for the kids. The kids would call her up and she said, I made sure that my secretary knew what had to be done. I'm sure no men will tell their secretary to know what should be done if the kids call up. Let's just be very frank, So the gender dynamics are there at the workplace also. Now they're giving more and more diversity. They're talking about women coming onto the boards and all, but how many boards have women on it? Let's just count. You'll count on, just maybe one hand. They are coming up. I'm not denying that. The gender dynamic is changing, but it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of pitching in by all the stakeholders. There was this lady who came, I had gone for a breakthrough program, which was done by GenPAC with collaboration with Ashoka University. And there was this lady who came in who was heading American Express, the cards division, the credit cards. And she said, I call my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my husband, all of them stakeholders. They're the stakeholders in my family. And I have made all of them responsible that if I'm not there, who's going to do what? And my mother-in-law is the biggest stakeholder because if she's not there, I can't be where I am. We have to be prepared for a new world, a more egalitarian world, a world where women are treated with a lot of respect. And it was there in the Vedas, If you go back to the Vedic age and all, you see that the women were the dominating force. The Shakti was what was, worshipped. And the women were at power. I don't know when it changed the dynamics and, the patriarchy came in and they said, oh, the women, if they're menstruating, they can't go to the temples, they can't do this, they can't do that. These were small ways of, putting them down. And I think now women are coming back up and things are changing, yes. There is more stress and tension also because of the pollution or even other external factors, like traffic and all the things that are there in Gurgaon, Like it is work from home, believe you me, has been a boon for women because you could manage things in some ways. And in some ways, it's been a bane because there is no end time to your work, right? But I think the hybrid way has come to stay. So hopefully that will reduce the tension. It will give you that leeway that, if your child is sick, you can take off or you can work from home. So now it's no longer a alien concept that work from home. Oh no. Now I think it's more like 2 days or 3 days we'll go to office and the rest of the days we can work from home, right? It saves office costs also. It saves companies a lot of things. It saves the traffic, the travel time and everything is saved. So people are looking at those things, but the stresses will always be there. See, stresses are in the mind. They're not in the space around you. You can create stress for yourself out of nothing, or you can create stress out of something. It's up to you.